I got to try to figure out how to change the name of what we're live streaming.
Once I'm on the restream, where do I go then?
The little text message looking box on the far left.
The chat bubble. Okay.
16-0. I like the sound of that, Julia.
All right, so. Oh, yeah, we'll have to pull that one out for sure.
What's up, everybody? If you're in here right now, we are going to be doing a live. We're going to be talking about the Browns schedule release. We've got a little bit of, I don't want to call it breaking news. It's news about John and I. So if you guys consider that important, then you're on the right show. But I think it's really exciting. We're going to talk about, the Browns schedule release. We are. 1 second, I've got to yell at Julia. Julia, you got to turn that down. I can hear it, and it's like 2-second delay. You try to support me, and this is what you do. No, I'm kidding. Please. Thank you. She was listening to this, and I could hear it from the living room, and I was delayed, and I don't like the sound of my voice. But we're going to be talking about the Browns. Hey, Katie. Sorry, we're not going to be talking about the Packers. Actually,
hey, Katie.
We'll hit on everything. If you guys and the guys and gals in the comments, the chat, give us a question about a team. We're going to talk about it. That's why we're here. But mainly this is going to be a Browns talking about the schedule release and how they're going to go 16-0 this year.
Lovely.
Give us 1 second for everyone else to get in here, and we're going to get going. I don't know how to change the name of it on Periscope. It still says NFL Draft Prospects.
Interesting. Oh, there. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. How you guys doing?
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna add the Periscope in again. Maybe I'll just have to do that every time. I don't know how to change the name of our. Now you're doing it to me, John. Are you kidding me right now?
Listen.
You guys are all trying to make me go nuts.
I texted Julie earlier. I was like, look, let's just drive him insane tonight, okay? Let's just make sure we at least do that.
I'm already insane.
Oh, further insane. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. You really can't go any much more further.
That's true. All right. All right, people. If you're in here right now, what is your initial reaction to your team's schedule release? You like it? What do you like? What don't you like? If you're a Browns fan, there's probably not going to be much to like because we have all learned to just be way too protective of ourselves. Devin, you think I have a nice voice? Thank you very much, Devin. That's very sweet of you, but I don't believe you.
Devin. You liar. All right, I got the messenger one going now. And mute.
All right.
Okay, perfect. Good deal now. Much better. Okay. So, Tevin, laugh out loud. Chandler has a nice voice. Absolutely.
I think that we have to. I think no. We just won't have people on Twitter. It's whatever. Twitter's our least viewed thing. No.
Really?
Yeah, compared to Facebook and YouTube. The Twitter one is not going to be working, but hey.
Oh, here we go. Okay, I found this. That's good. Now, let's look for the whole entire schedule. So what opens it up? Oh, wow.
Give us 1 second, people. We are
Well, you go ahead and do your thing. I'm just going to I was just pulled up the actual NFL schedule so can look at some of the highlight games. So
Yeah,
the
start
game
talking
that
about
kicks it off
those.
Thursday, September 10th is the Texans at the Chiefs. So, um, interesting game, that's for sure. I wonder how they picked the
Did you
Texans
say
to be in that.
Texans?
Yeah.
They're going to be a laughing
um,
stock this year.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you still have Deshaun Watson, so you can probably, you be in any game that you want to be in, basically. So, as hard as they try to, or as hard as Bill O'Brien has tried to
Yeah, but I
punt on
guess
that franchise.
my saying that they're going to be a shit show this year is basically like they have Deshaun Watson and they'll be lucky to win 8 games this year.
Um, Perhaps you didn't know that they in the offseason got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, who was a massive anchor weighing down the uh,
That
uplifting
offense.
ship that is the Houston Texans. And
Yeah,
so,
I don't know about that
yeah,
one,
once you
John.
remove Hopkins and you add David Johnson, you're good now. So that's
Oh,
basically all you need to
really?
do. So yeah,
And you're paying them the same amount of money,
absolutely.
right?
Super Bowl more, even more
Oh,
for David Johnson.
that
So
makes sense that would work. You know,
yes.
you get rid of arguably the best receiver in the NFL
Yeah,
and
you
get
don't need
a
those
aging
guys.
running back. I swear, if I see one more fantasy Twitter account that says y'all are sleeping on David Johnson, I swear. No, you're stuck in 2015. I swear.
Mhm.
Like
Well,
running backs have a
I think
short
that
shelf life.
they do, but at some point he is going to like the cost is going to go so low that at some point he is going to be a value
Oh,
just because
absolutely.
everyone keeps pushing him
But I don't
down.
think that time's
So,
yet.
but like if he has a 1,200 yard like 10 touchdown season, I would be beyond
Yeah.
shocked, like beyond shocked. So,
Like I don't
but
know.
yeah,
This
so we'll
it's
see.
something, I'm sure.
Um, First Sunday night football game is going to be the Cowboys at the Rams. That should be fun. And then you've got they kept it the two Monday night football games. So you have the Steelers at the Giants, and then the Titans at the Broncos.
These are some
Which
ugly.
interesting.
What are you checking that on? CBS Sports?
No, I just went to it's just NFL.com. I just went to the NFL schedule for 2020. So and then it's just going week by week. Week two. So yeah, and we'll talk about this in a second. Bengals at the Browns is the Thursday night game, and then what else? What are some highlights? Let's see.
What did
Chiefs
you
at
just say about
Chargers
the
that
Bengals
week.
having a?
Well, we play the Bengals play against the Browns. They're in Cleveland the second Thursday night in the season.
Hmm.
So yeah, well Browns will and we'll go through the Browns schedule in a minute. So we'll save
Can you
that. But
send me that link through a DM? I can literally not find a good schedule.
yeah,
Becoming illiterate, but
no problem.
So if yeah, Mike, I agree that is going to be a good game. I think the other thing is it's important for the Bengals to get Joe Burrow in a primetime game as soon as possible in case he comes out missing. The NFL doesn't need Joe Burrow to be as good as everyone wants him to be, but sure wouldn't hurt. But I just can't wait until people kind of come down to earth and remember that we do this with some quarterback every single year.
Yeah, I mean, he is the number one pick and the Heisman Trophy winner, national championship. That trifecta hasn't. It's only happened a few times. So,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
hey,
I mean,
what's up, Jeff?
I just mean the Jeff 16-0. You
Welcome,
know,
buddy. Welcome.
I keep looking at this, Jeff, and I just keep thinking 11 wins. There's no way they shouldn't have 11 wins. But it all
Say it every year.
Yeah, but I've never
That's how
actually
you know
felt
you're a
good
Browns
about
fan.
it. I've never
You're
felt
11-5 every May. Every May, you're like, 11-5. We got it. This is the year. 11-5. And every November, you're like, have we lost 11 in a row yet? No, almost. Okay.
Yeah, the thing is, though, you cynical old man. I think that people
Not
are.
cynical. It's realistic.
I I just think a lot of people are going to be hung up on the, Big Ben being back for the Steelers and that Steelers defense being unbelievably good last year. But, John, what do we know about defenses that only thrive because of turnovers?
Yeah, it's really, really inconsistent year to year. Yeah. It's hard to sustain that.
And when you spend a first-round pick on a safety who gets you a couple picks and fumbles, that usually backfires in the long term. And Jay Glazer just said the other day that Big Ben has not been working out this offseason. He does not look good. He is not fit. He said that fitness and Big Ben should not be in the same sentence together. His idea of fitness is drinking a beer and doing some yoga. Ryan Kreischer says Chandler Adams found a back alley hair salon. Well, I'm not going to out anybody, but if you know me, you probably know where I got my hair cut. So come after that, Governor DeWine.
On the black market haircuts, I love it. So,
but yeah. All right. So if you're just now on, because we're at we're starting to get
Pam's here
starting
too.
to ramp
up.
Auntie Pam. Tonight's going to be a Browns schedule. Talking about that. This will also come out in podcast form. So if you're busy right now, you can't hear because something's going on. I don't know. I've had a freaking leaf blower going off on my window this whole past week, and I haven't been able to hear anything. But this will be in podcast form. I'm going to start the recording here in a second. And John, if you're ready, let's dive into the Browns.
Yeah, man.
All right. Wait one sec.
Let's do it.
I'm doing our intro.
Okay.
All you are going to see it. Welcome back to the Across the Board podcast. Jeff and I. Good Lord, Jeff. Come on, you're already ruining it, and you're already in the podcast 10 seconds in. Jeff W., ladies and gentlemen. All right, John and I are here. We are going to talk to you about the Browns schedule release that just happened tonight. We were just arguing, is it going to be 10 wins this year, or are we going to say, oh, we just lost 11 straight this year? You never know with the Browns, but the nerd regime is keeping things. They're steadying the ship. They're bunkering down. I love what they're doing, but I mean, let's just get right into it. Week 1, September 13th, at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I'm going to look at this in two ways. One that's absolutely terrifying because the Baltimore Ravens are without a doubt in my mind the best roster in the NFL. They have not a single hole. You cannot find a hole outside of, you could argue that linebacker, and I'll argue that cornerback because Marcus Peters isn't good. No, I'm kidding. But linebacker, probably their only hole. But they have Marlon Humphrey, Earl Thomas, Marcus Peters, a phenomenal pass rush now.
Patrick Queen.
You know how I feel about Patrick Queen, though. But
no, I know, but he's first-round pick.
Yeah, they had first-round pick. That's going to be forever. When he's cut in 4 years. First-round pick, Patrick Queen's available.
I'll take that bet.
So I don't know if I'm going to predict every game what the Browns are going to do, but I'll say this. Last year, the Browns, after a very slow start, went into Baltimore week 4, and the Browns didn't thump the Ravens. Devin, stop telling her to do crap.
She didn't.
Who?
I just wanted to say hi.
You're a liar. Anyway, look at this. You're messing up my podcast, Julia. Baltimore, they went to Baltimore, and the Browns didn't even thump them. Nick Chubb by himself thumped him. They gave Nick Chubb in that week gave the Baltimore Ravens run defense, tackling, the worst grade they had all year on PFF. Nick Chubb went absolutely bananas, and he did it behind an O-line that was miserable. The Browns were the third best run team in the NFL, according to PFF and their grades, but their run blocking was 28th, I believe. So Nick Chubb alone carried that team in that game. And I'm not saying the Browns go week 1, beat Baltimore, but the Browns have a terrible taste in their mouth. Baltimore might be coming off a little bit of that. We're supposed to win the Super Bowl. We got beat by the Titans in the playoffs. Hangover. First of all, these first 6 weeks of the NFL season are going to be so unpredictable. I'm going to have a hard time placing any money in bets on them because we don't know what's going to happen with this offseason. This offseason workout program is so insane. Teams like the Bengals, who are their starting quarterback's going to be a rookie, are going to have Joe Burrow is going to come in and he's going to get 8 alive the first 2 weeks. I don't know who the Bengals play week 1, but that Browns defense has improved a lot. They still have holes there, but they're negating those black holes that, if you listen to the show, Brendan talked about a few weeks ago. I think that's what a better way to start the season than taking on the best team in the league. Just getting it out there. See what this team is freaking made of.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're going to find out right away. So that's the good news. And if there's a lot of guys on the team right now who, went into went into last year, are thinking about last year. And one thing that they have to draw upon is that they went to Baltimore and they won that game.
Mm-hmm.
So, they didn't, you didn't win a lot of games last year, but you did go to Baltimore and you did thump that team, which, it is what it is. So, and largely in the same kind of style, ironically, that they're going to be doing this year. Like they won with a lot of wide zone running stuff that Baltimore really couldn't, deal with at all. So
it's almost like Nick
and
Chubb's
we saw
good.
the results.
Hugh.
He's hey Brent, how you doing? Welcome.
But and the other thing is it could be flipped.
Absolutely.
We could have Cincinnati. We could go to Cincinnati first game, get an easy win. Or we could go to the Ravens when they're still going to be rusty too. I'm not saying anything about the Ravens. The Ravens are a fantastic team, whether you're a Browns fan or not. You know that they are well ran. That kind of offense, it takes a minute to get going. A lot of options, a lot of RPOs. That kind of offense takes timing. Lamar Jackson is not going to have time to work with Devin, however you pronounce his name, from Texas, the wide receiver.
DuVernay.
J.K. Dobbins. This is going to be a rusty start. The Browns are going to have a rusty start as well. They're implementing a whole new offense. But something that travels much easier than the passing game is the running game. If your guys can hit their blocks and Nick Chubb can hit his holes, I much prefer that to an option game. And then what I was trying to get to the point is we could have had the Ravens on 4 days rest. We're going to Cincinnati week 2 on 4 days rest on the Thursday night game. Like, we should just be lucky that it's not Cincinnati, then 4 days, then Baltimore. Because I don't like this. I don't like the idea of traveling to Baltimore and getting curb stomped on a Thursday night.
No, of all the teams on the schedule, if you could have chosen, if you knew the opponents you were playing, which obviously you did, and you could have said, you've got to play one game on 4 days, 3 days rest. You got to play one game 4 days later. I think Jacksonville,
Bengals or Washington,
maybe the Jets, the Bengals for sure. Like there are just a handful of teams that you'd say, let's put in that spot. And so, that's one of them. So that's the good news. It is at home for what that's worth, obviously, which is nicer. You're at Baltimore, so that's not, it's not a far trip. And then you got to, hopefully if you get a win, you come back home, and then 4 days later, you got your home opener on Thursday night against the Bengals. So primetime, ish game, NFL Network, obviously.
I'd count it. It's going to be, I would say that when that game hits, maybe aside from the Chiefs-Texans game, that will probably be the most watched game because the Joe Burrow effect, so the entire Bayou is going to be watching it. And then, I think there's this, Baker had a bad year, but if Baker comes out and slings like he can the first week, and this is a warning to all Browns fans, Baker's not going to come out here and throw 50 touchdowns this year. Look at Kirk Cousins' stats. What you're going to get is efficiency. It's not going to be high volume. If Baker's throwing at a high volume, that means that means that Stefanski and that offense have not done what they went into that game doing. They want to establish the run, throw, and these situations that make it optimal with windows and making the defense think that the offense is going a whole other way. Like, I know it sounds so simple, but this wide zone scheme offense is just like, it's really dumbing down the game. Make it easy on the quarterback, run the ball. And then I think another thing I want to touch on with the Ravens real quick, John, is hi Bailey, thank you for joining. The Ravens obviously have Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Mark Andrews is arguably outside of Travis Kelce, there's probably a few more, that can just move in the open field. Almost no tight end can move like Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce can. And if they do, that they're not starting tight ends. They're very situational receiving tight ends.
Yep.
Grant Delpit is tremendous in coverage. I mean, he is absolutely phenomenal in coverage. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He is what you bring in to stop a guy like Mark Andrews. He's not going to negate everything Mark Andrews does. What he's going to do is slow him down. If you remember the second game against the against the Ravens last year, there was a touchdown by Mark Andrews, I believe, in the back of the end zone where he just wasn't covered. Demarius Randall couldn't find him, wasn't there, wide open. Grant Delpit doesn't just miss coverages like that. He might mess up, he's not perfect, obviously. He was the 51st overall pick or whatever he was. But watching Grant Delpit, and I'm about to release a breakdown on him soon, hopefully by Saturday, he doesn't just miss coverages because he got bored or he just simply doesn't see it. He's a very smart kid, sees the entire field. I think Grant Delpit and obviously Sandejo, a very good coverage safety. And then Carl Joseph, you want more for keeping Lamar Jackson contained in the run game, keeping Mark Andrews, because we had a problem last year. If you got past the defensive line, which was often, because they weren't good. Then you got to the linebackers, and you got past them because our linebackers were really bad. Then you got to the safeties and the cornerbacks, and none of our safeties and quarterbacks can tackle, and that really hasn't changed, but you brought in Carl Joseph to try to change that. But I do think, I know that was really long-winded, but I've just been thinking about the Ravens and the Browns, and I think the Ravens and Browns matchup might be closer than some think. Still, the Browns are going to have to play a perfect game, and the Ravens are going to have to mess up every now and again for the Browns to get that win. But if you can get up on the Ravens and then pound the ball like they do, you have a shot, and the Browns are going to pound the ball this year.
Well, look, the NFL is weird, right? I mean, last year, we know how the season ended, and the Baltimore was, they lost to Tennessee in the playoffs, and the Browns were, a largely disappointing team after the end of the season. So, but that looked like, it looked like a role reversal, right?
Yeah.
Like we watched that game and we were like, Cleveland looks like the team that's going to go to the playoffs, and Baltimore looks terrible. They couldn't stop anything that we were doing. I mean, it was over 500 yards of total offense. Baltimore couldn't do anything. So, and
that was
our
peak happiness too, week 4.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. For sure. And I mean, after that, went downhill, but the bottom line is, the NFL it's a bizarre place. Like if you, thinking back on that game now, it's almost like, how did that even happen? I mean, that seems impossible, that result. So you never know. But here's the bottom line with this game. Like the Browns spent money on their defense in free agency, and they spent, some draft picks on defense as well. And so, if your front seven, if your D-line with the incorporation of, Elliott, of course, Jordan Elliott, who is still following you on Twitter, right?
He does.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, my God.
Just so we're clear. So, very cool.
My favorite Browns player followed me on Twitter, and I had to not geek out and say something to him. I still haven't.
Very cool.
Playing it cool.
Very cool.
Playing it cool because I don't even care.
That's smart. Yeah, keep your play hard to get. Apps make him come to you for sure. That's for sure. So smart. So if you, if the off season goes in such a way that you're able to, get decent practice time in with your defensive line, with your new linebackers, especially the new linebackers, because this is a very new room apart from Mac Wilson and, Taki from last year. So you have a lot of guys to incorporate. And so if you can get that figured out and you feel good about it heading into, Joe Woods feels good about his defense heading into week 1 against, at Baltimore, then you got a chance to, hang in that game. And maybe it comes down to, how well you play on offense, which I think we're all expecting a step up, in the right direction there, which I don't think that's unreasonable to look at the offense and say that Stefanski, the scheme, everything about that is going to make things easier and more successful on that side of the ball. I think this game's going to come down to the defensive side. Are you going to be able to stop them? Because if it's just a shootout, if it's just Lamar Jackson unhinged and he's just going to do what he does, and you've got to keep up with him like that, I'm not super confident about that. So, the point spread just came out. So the Browns are 10-point underdogs for week 1.
Take that.
So you can take the Browns plus 10 right now at Baltimore.
I like that. Then I take that and Baker breaks his leg. Oh, Case Keenum. I mean, Case Keenum and Stefanski's offense isn't bad at all.
Stop it right now. Don't even say that stuff out loud. Don't even say it. Are you kidding me? You called me a pessimist and you're talking about broken legs and shit?
Jeff W. out here. Eric Metcalf just liked this tweet. Let's go, buddy.
Boom. Excellent. Perfect.
Get Eric Metcalf on the show for us, Jeff, and you'll be our official scoop. But also with what you just said, play well on offense. Everyone's expecting a reboot from the Browns offense this year. I've already started digging into some of the data, and from everything I'm finding, it looked like Baker Mayfield. I think it might have been in one season, but it might be his whole career. I need to dig deeper. I'm trying to find all these crazy stats through Reddit and stuff, and finding leaks. I mean, not leaks, scoops like Jeff and EA were the other day. But I think Baker Mayfield threw 42% of his throws from some sort of play action, a play action or an RPO. And then I went back and watched some tape from his senior year, and everything was a play action or an RPO. So
Are you talking about in college or the NFL?
In college.
Or are you talking about his whole career? Okay,
college.
Gotcha. Okay. I have some NFL stats, but I don't have college.
I don't know if the 40... Can I block Chandler for that Keenum crap? Guys, what did I say? All I said is I'll take that bet now, and then with my luck, Baker will get hurt.
Yeah.
But...
No, but you're like really specific. Like if you want to say he's going to get hurt, fine, but don't be real specific to the point where we can look back at this and definitively like we have reasons to choke you out. Like that's not what you want to do. Like just say he get injured. Like let's just skip that part of it. Okay, we have enough of an uphill mountain to climb as Browns fans. We don't need your fan.
We live in Ohio. We have a lot of cornfields to walk through. But I'll
walk through it.
And basically, I'm going to be having a breakdown after I do all the Browns draft picks of Baker Mayfield, because watching Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield excel at a lot of the same things. They're very similar quarterbacks outside of their personalities. I think Baker's going to thrive in this offense, and I can't wait to see it. But obviously, with this offseason, we'll see how that goes. But we need to move on.
Yeah.
So, the Bayou Bengals versus the Bayou Browns. I don't really want to harp on this too long. I've been pretty harsh on Joe Burrow this entire podcast. Like, welcome to the NFL, kid. You're gonna have Myles Garrett screaming 100 miles per hour down your face. Sheldon Richardson coming from the interior, who, I mean, if he wasn't getting paid $12 million a year, he'd get talked about in a lot higher standard. He's just not really worth that. Jordan Elliott's a fantastic pass rusher. Obviously, we need to see if that translates. And then Olivier Vernon. If Olivier Vernon's healthy, I just don't think Browns fans understand how freaking tremendous Olivier Vernon is. I understand. You can tell me all day that he has injury problems. If he's on the field, he's damn good. And then, who knows? Maybe the Browns signed Jadeveon Clowney. That's just another absolute... I mean, that's terrifying. If you're on a third down pass rush set against... your rookie quarterback in Joe Burrow, and you have Myles Garrett, Olivier Vernon, Sheldon Richardson, and Jadeveon Clowney rushing you, I mean, call it in.
Brutal.
Brutal. Poop your pants, call it in, get off the field. That's terrifying. But the Bengals, people could say they did well in the draft. That's fine. They're not near close enough to be of any concern for me. I don't think this, like Andrew Berry, Stefanski, DePodesta, they're saying is all bite, no bark. I truly think that. I don't think they're going to come into week 1 against Tennessee and feel like they already have the game. I don't think we'll have a single game like that. They're going to come in, they're going to expect that they need to play well to beat the Bengals. And I just think this is the first time ever we're going to see the Browns actually thump some teams. Like, I think they want to just thump teams, get up, run the ball. I'm not saying you have to beat them by 30, but just Nick Chubb should break records this year. There's absolutely no reason. I tweeted this the other day. They had the 88.8 run grade from PFF, third highest in the NFL. They had the third worst offensive line run blocking grade. You add one of the best run blocking right tackles in the NFL. You add the best run blocker in the draft. Magic's going to happen. I love it. And also, Nick Chubb is the epitome of all bite, no bark. The man doesn't speak. He's going to have a great year. I'm more excited for his year than Baker's, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've been talking a lot. I'm
Absolutely.
just freaking pumped up for Browns.
No. I know, man. It's exciting. This is cool. I mean, it's similar to the draft. It's something that we can do with sports where we get to look forward to something. It tells us a little bit of information now, but it's largely we're looking forward to it down the road, and it's fun to speculate. So
yeah.
I mean, and this really having Cincinnati at home in week 2 on a short week really highlights the significance again of the Baltimore game, because if you somehow are able to go to Baltimore and control that game and play, a close one, whatever, and come away with the win, then you've got a real chance here to beat a Cincinnati team that is, made improvements in the offseason for sure. But, they're not going to have any kind of an offseason to really get things together. So, you're still Burrow's, one of the best college quarterback season ever. But I mean, it's, you've got to transition to the NFL now. It's going to be a lot different.
Hey, rookie, welcome
offensive
to the
line.
NFL.
I mean, yeah, it's it takes time. So even if he's going to be really good down the road, it's hard to imagine that he'll be amazing week 1 or week 2, I should say. Don't forget they'll be off short rest as well, coming off their games.
Yeah,
so,
who do they play week
that's
1?
Another thing.
I need to pull up the whole schedule.
Good question. I sent it to you in the Twitter. So Cincinnati is at home against the Chargers. So they got a 4:00 game against the LA Chargers. And then, 4 days later, they're playing. They're on the road in Cleveland against us.
I'll tell you what. Right now, if you're a betting person, and John and I will be doing betting stuff on here just like normal on Sunday or on the NFL, take the Chargers under every single game. If Tyrod Taylor's the quarterback.
Under the total, that's a good call. Especially that first week, Chargers at Bengals, that'll be interesting. Yeah. Good defense versus a rookie just starting out. So, but So, but I think a win is, I think it's fair to expect a win from the Browns in this game at home against our, rookie quarterback. So, and again, so highlighting the importance of the Baltimore game, like and we can move on to week 3, because if you do happen to beat Baltimore and you do beat Cincinnati at home, you've got another home game against the Redskins in week 3.
And they're coming off a 4:00 game in Carolina that previous week.
Okay, so regime change, new coach, obviously. So again, they're not going to get much of an offseason with a new coach. That's going to be really, really hard. Second-year quarterback with Dwayne Haskins, obviously. All the running backs that have ever torn ACLs are on their roster for sure. So they are still trying to figure out what to do there. McLaurin was a nice piece last year. They just drafted Gandy Golden. That'll be interesting to see him play. But definitely a winnable game for sure. So, again, you've got a realistic shot. I mean, if you win that first game, you could be 3-0 after 3 weeks, and that is something that we haven't said in Cleveland, and it's got to be 30 years.
Yeah, with the real years. With realness in our voice, not just like, we're gonna be good this year. Oh my God, no, we're not. Who's the number 1 draft pick gonna be?
And even if realistically, if you lose to Baltimore, and 2-1 is the expectation. I think everybody's looking at this schedule saying, okay, if we do lose to Baltimore, then we should be 2-1 after 3 games. So, not the end of the world. It'd be nice to get a division win, obviously, week 1. But you do, you have a division game against Cincinnati that you can win, and then again, home game against Washington. So, I don't know. What do you think about anything to think about the Redskins? I mean, it's kind of
So other than the fact that I don't want to harp on them. I want to get to the kind of the bad teams, Jacksonville, yada yada. I want to kind of skim over them. So I'll just say this: the Redskins are going to Carolina, going to Arizona to play the Cardinals the week before the Browns at 4:00. Game gets over at 8. They get out. They fly out at midnight. Whatever. They're on a shorter week. And the Browns are going to be on that long week, the extra 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, you get the mini bye heading into.
And the Redskins are just a bad team. They're just a bad team.
To get that would have been nice to get like have Pittsburgh or Dallas or one of these teams be off even Houston or Philly be off the 10-game bye. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
or the 10-day bye, that mini bye you get with the Thursday night game. But either way, no big deal. I mean, you got to play your schedule. So Washington.
Yeah.
But
so the Browns.
Good point. They'll be at the Cardinals the week before. Very interesting.
Yeah, and then so the Browns are in Cleveland, 1:00 game, and the reason we're telling it the times and stuff is because these things matter. That extra day that you might get, or 3 days in the case of the Browns versus the Redskins, like that's huge for these players. It's huge for a guy like Olivier Vernon who struggled with health. So this next one is important. We play the Cowboys week 4, and here's some important things. But first, Allen, will the Browns beat the Steelers this year? You're going to have to stick around and find out. We'll talk about that. We're talking about every game. And Bailey, how about the Bears?
The Bears.
I honestly have not looked at their schedule, but if you're a Bears fan, I do apologize. We could talk about them after the Browns, but man, Kyle, Thatcher, if you're watching this, Corey, the Bears. I mean, you had it all and then you lost it. You were right there. But anyway, and also when we get to the bye game for the Browns, week 9, I believe, John and I'm putting John on the spot here. We're going to drop some news about something. It's very important, so stick around. If you're listening to this podcast later, stick around. It's important. If you're watching live, come back around then because it's going to be important. But the Browns play the Cowboys week 4. Now, thankfully, the NFL gods have gifted us, as they say, you're going to go and play one of the best offenses in the league week 4 already, all right? So you're going to play the Ravens, the best offense week 1. You're going to have 2 lollygaggers. Then you're going to come back and play the Cowboys, maybe a top 5 offense, week 4. But they didn't address safety this offseason. They lost Byron Jones.
Yep.
And they play in Seattle, week 3, 4:00 game. So they play the best quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, the best quarterback in the NFL. The best quarterback in the NFL, week 3. So that's nice for us. We get that little bit of extra time. They have a hard opponent that they're going to get beat up. It just kind of sucks that Seattle's defense is buns. But the Cowboys, with matchup-wise, I am more worried about this game. This is a game I worry about because Dak Prescott can shred defenses. And you might say I didn't act worried about Lamar and the Ravens. Well, that's because it's week 1. This is weird off season. By week 4, Dak and CD and Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper, they're going to be finding their groove, and that's going to be a fantastic offense. And it just so happens that the Browns were one of the worst tackling teams last year, one of the worst run defenses last year, and they have Ezekiel Elliott and a bunch of maulers on the offensive line. This is a game I'm worried about, but I think our offense can easily match their firepower. I mean, skill position for skill position, they're just about equally matched. This guy, whatever. If you think Amari Cooper's better, I think you're wrong. But Odell is better than Amari Cooper. Jarvis and Gallup are. It's hard to I don't know. It's also hard to do this because Amari Cooper and Odell Beckham Jr. are 2 opposite wide receivers. Jarvis Landry, Michael Gallup could not be more different. Jarvis and Amari Cooper are actually kind of similar. They're tough, hard nosed. I don't want to call Amari a possession receiver, but he's more on that side than Odell. But then Rashard Higgins to CeeDee Lamb, I think, is a pretty large drop off. But then the running backs go to the Browns because not only is Nick Chubb probably have a little bit of an edge right now, but they have Kareem Hunt compared to Tony Pollard. So
no, the Cowboys have a better running back in Ezekiel Elliott.
No, I'm saying the running back group. If you're going to tell me you wouldn't take Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt over Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, you're wrong.
Correct. I would take Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard in a heartbeat. So would every human being who's ever seen or heard of football. Yes.
Oh, no, they absolutely would not.
Yes.
No.
I
wouldn't even debate that.
Yeah, no, Zeke is like on another planet then.
No, I disagree because I'm talking about a running back room. Kareem Hunt is one of the best receiving backs in the NFL.
Tony Pollard is fantastic.
He is not anywhere in Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt was a rushing title champion and the best
in Andy
receiving
Reid's
back.
system, which Damian Williams should have been the Super Bowl MVP. We'd never heard of the guy like 2 years ago. He's almost a Super Bowl MVP. Andy Reid does amazing things with players.
You do realize
that's
Kareem
something that a
Hunt
lot of
absolutely dominated at
we
every
forget.
stage. The only reason he went to Toledo is because he was a thug. I shouldn't say thug. He was a bad kid.
Yeah, and he's slow. Like he's not. He's like he's a slow running back. Like every slow running back that comes out of college gets comped to Kareem Hunt. If you run a 4.63, I guess you're Kareem Hunt then. Like that's what Kareem Hunt did in the NFL was amazing because of how slow he was, because of his athletic profile. Like that's the reason.
But athleticism doesn't mean anything. John Ross is one of the most athletic wide receivers in the NFL, and he's trash.
No. There's a huge. Okay, athleticism means a lot for running backs. First of all, athletic profiles are very important. They statistically they correlate with better NFL seasons. So, for Kareem Hunt to do what he did, it statistically every guy that's big and slow is not going to be Kareem Hunt in the NFL. Like it's surprising that he was able to do what he did, and I like him in his role. I'm just saying that if you think that Kareem Hunt is going to go to any NFL team and lead the league in rushing, like you're insane. Like Andy Reid does amazing things for players because he's an incredible coach. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. I agree. Hunt, but I don't think that Tony Pollard and Kareem Hunt are even. I think it's disrespectful to compare those two.
You're right. And I'll dream up what your punishment is for being disrespectful to Tony Pollard. I'm not sure what you're smoking or what's going on tonight. Maybe they cut your hair. Did some of the brain come off with that haircut? Did it get too close? I don't know.
I think you're absolutely nuts. I can't believe this right now. We're gonna have to switch the. We're gonna have to switch the name of the podcast. It's gonna be Tony Pollard versus the Browns.
It's mostly the Zeke side of it. That's the thing. Like if you have a chance to get a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, like Nick Chubb's great and everything, but like he's not Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke is unbelievable. Like he's one of the best, better prospects of all time. And he's turned in amazing seasons in the NFL. He's one of the few guys that, like, I'm not advocating drafting a running back 4th overall, but like there's a reason he went 4th overall because of how incredibly good he is.
Yeah,
like,
he's
Chubb
incredible.
Is a fine player.
But here's the thing.
I love having him, but he's not Zeke. He's nowhere close to Zeke.
Okay, so put Nick Chubb in Ezekiel Elliott's shoes with the best offensive line for 3 years running and a top 10 quarterback for 3 years straight. You don't think he puts up similar numbers? Because I think he does.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd be fine. I'm sure he'd do fine.
I'm just saying, I don't know if you put Zeke.
He's not catching 60 passes a year like Zeke does and everything. I mean, Zeke is special. He's really, really special.
That's why Nick Chubb has Kareem Hunt.
I know, and that's the thing. Nick Chubb needs Kareem Hunt. Zeke can do all that by himself. Nick Chubb needs somebody else to do that part of it. Zeke is that whole thing. He's the
great.
Whole package.
I'm not arguing
Tony Pollard's a nice backup.
I'm not arguing that Ezekiel Elliott's. I'm not arguing that Ezekiel Elliott's not one of the best running backs the NFL's ever seen.
All right, if you had to rank those 4, would you agree that it goes Zeke, then Chubb, then Hunt, then Pollard?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm saying that the difference between Zeke
but
and
I
Chubb
disagree with
is
that.
so great.
I disagree.
That it doesn't matter who the backup is.
If you're going to give me Zeke at 23 years old and Chubb at this stage, I would say the drop-off is significant. But that extra year or two in the NFL has taken an edge off of Zeke. You can see it. He just isn't getting through tackles like he once was in the NFL. He's not breaking everything.
And stuff like that. Yeah. I'm not saying.
So I'm saying at this point right now, I would much more side with a Nick Chubb Kareem Hunt backfield than Ezekiel Elliott Tony Pollard. I'm not a big fan of Tony Pollard either. He never was a dominant runner in college. Like he never got a large amount of snaps.
There was a crowded backfield there, so you're right. That's a good point. He didn't shine like Zeke did.
They've just pooped out running backs in Memphis lately. They all kind of just dud out in the NFL, but they're there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some hype on another one this year, that's for sure. And he looks like he might be the one, so we'll see. But yeah, I guess all I meant to say was when you were grading this running back room, these 2 rooms, you were like, oh, Brown slam dunk. Like it's like so.
I don't think I said it like that.
Question.
Did I? I don't think I said it like that.
The Browns clearly have the better running back. I was like, whoa, you don't even want to consider like.
We're gonna have to have someone clip that. I don't think I said clearly the better.
We'll rewind the pod at 45 minutes when we start this conversation.
I'm pretty sure I said the Browns have the edge in the running back room.
You did.
Forty-five
You just
minutes.
seem to brush it off so fast. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Right? Let's what's it called. We can keep going. Um, but yeah. So go ahead. You were talking about how the position groups and stuff like that, and
That's all
comparing the
I was
Browns and the
getting to.
Cowboys.
We
So
need to. We're gonna have to skim over a couple weeks now, but that's all I
yeah,
was
we.
getting to. Is that the
Oh,
um, I like the matchup with the Cowboys. I think that's gonna be one of the most. I think that's
it's
gonna
a
be a
huge,
very even game, very even,
huge.
fun game.
Yeah, and a big one. I mean, it'd be nice if that one were at home. I mean, so far you've got, it'd be nice if the schedule were flipped, right? Like you'd love to have Baltimore and Dallas at home and then go on the road to face Cincinnati and Washington. Like it would, because who cares about the road game? I mean, if you're going to play road games, you'd like them to be against, not tough teams, but whatever. I mean, you got to play the schedule, that you're given. So the Dallas game, yeah, that's going to be a huge game. That's going to be very, very interesting to see, because again, let's say if you beat Baltimore week one and you everything goes the way you think it will, and you take care of Cincinnati, you take care of Washington, you got a chance to go to Dallas and make a statement. I mean, if you start 4-0 with two road wins against Baltimore and Dallas, I mean that's first of all, 4-0 teams usually, do fairly well as far as making playoffs and winning divisions and things like that. Like it's, you've already started your season off very well. If you lose both road games and you're just 2-2, then we're not going to know anything, right? We're not going to know a single thing about this team. You're going to beat two teams that everybody in the world thinks you should beat as soon as the schedule was released, and you lost to two teams that we said would be tougher games. And so, at some point, you're just going to, like, if you want to be a good team, you're going to have to beat teams that, maybe you shouldn't on paper, right? Maybe teams that, look good. Or if the edge is so close, which I think that your point about Dallas is a very good one, where you could look at these teams and say, might be a coin flip. I might just take the home team and say, if Dallas is at home, I'll take the Cowboys. If the Browns were at home, maybe I'd take the Browns, right?
Yeah,
So
Dak doesn't lose
could
to
be a
Jerry
coin
Riddle
flip.
very often.
No, and he's underrated too. I like him a lot,
He's
obviously.
fantastic.
So, but they're on defense. They have some improving to do as well. So, again, if the Browns defense shows up week one and keeps getting slightly better, and the linebackers play like, with as limited of an offseason as they're going to have, then yeah, I mean, it's going to be what's it called? You can circle this game as one of the games of the year for the Browns already. I mean,
Yep.
and it's a young season at this point, but this is a very, very important game. So
Yep. We've got the comment section fighting.
nice.
I think this Colts one is one we should skim over. While they're gonna be fun. Phillip Rivers, yada yada. We need to skip a couple games, kind of.
Yeah,
I
you
like.
just need to talk about the important, like with the Colts. The only thing is the home game again. Like it's a home game. You got to win. Those games, right? Like
Yep.
you just need to take care of business at home. So if your road games, you're going to stumble and you're going to lose some games that maybe you shouldn't, whatever. But yeah, the home games. So you got the Colts at home. They're going to have, like you said, Rivers, new quarterback, lots in flux for them. So take advantage of that, right? Just beat a team at home that has had a lot of change going on in the offseason with no real offseason. So, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Hope they get that one.
And then week 6, we have the Steelers. We're going to talk about this one a little bit. I cannot find out who the Steelers play week 5. Do they have their bye week 5? No, they play the Eagles. Okay. The Steelers play the Eagles week 5 and then come back with us week 6. That's good for the Browns. The Eagles are a good team.
Home games in a row for them. So the Eagles at Pittsburgh, and then we go to Pittsburgh as well.
Yep,
So
this one's going to be tough. This game is going to 100% depend on Big Ben. And I'll say this again. I don't think the Steelers are going to have a good year. That there's 3 teams in the NFL that you should expect to bounce back from. Just statistically, looking at history, what happens. In my opinion, it's the Titans, it's the Steelers, it's the 49ers. The Titans are for a different reason. The 49ers and the Steelers defenses.
Oh, you mean they're going to slide? They're going to
bounce back. Like bounce back from being good.
Fall back. Yeah, I thought you meant bounce like back. Like
yeah, those 3 teams might be good this year. No,
I was like, wait a minute, Tennessee, what? Okay, go ahead.
The 49ers and the Steelers defenses like that just don't repeat. Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, the Patriots are an anomaly because they don't focus on turnovers. They just stop you on third down when it's important. And then the Titans, quarterback play like that from a guy like Tannehill doesn't happen that often, and it usually doesn't repeat. So if I'm looking at the stats and I'm looking at history, and that's what I like to base my judgment on, I'm going to think that the Titans, the Steelers, and the 49ers bounce back to reality. They do not go good.
Yep.
They're going to be bad, in my opinion. And obviously the 49ers are a good enough roster that they'll still win they'll still win a good amount of games. The Titans,
but to your point, they're going to have to rely on their offense. Like they're probably going to.
Yeah.
You're going to have to say, Jimmy G, go win us some games
with
It's not
Russell
gonna be like
Wilson
last year.
and
Right.
McVay and DeAndre Hopkins
Sure.
and Kyler Murray. Like the NFC
Yep.
West is I think the best division outside of the AFC North this year. But yeah, so
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. That's for sure.
they're going to be much more fun to watch out there because they're going to be slinging the ball everywhere, and the AFC North is
Yeah.
going to be pounding the ball down people's throats. But
Yep.
I think the Steelers game. Honestly, I don't know what to think. If this new regime comes in and just holds the ship steady like we think they're going to. So far this year, I mean, this is the first year ever, John. There's been absolutely no leaks. There's been absolutely no rumors. There's been absolutely no discourse in the locker room or the front office that's being leaked out to people. Like they are on the same path. They have the same goals in mind, and there's none of this leaking crap to the press to make so when it comes out I look better. If they're this kind of regime, they have this kind of all bite, no bark. This is a game they can easily win. I truly do not think the Steelers are as good as people want to think. Now, if Big Ben comes out and plays like 30-year-old Big Ben, forget about it. I mean, that's one of the best quarterbacks that will be in the NFL, but he's 30 old. His workout regimen is drinking a beer every night on a yoga mat, and he looks like that bear he killed in that picture on Twitter. I don't know about you, John, but I'm only 22, and I still get joint pain in my elbows. Drinking a beer would not help my joint pain. Yoga would, but eating right, getting thinner. He's getting big like that. He's not eating right, which means inflammation's coming everywhere. I don't see any way he comes out and that elbow is fixed. The elbow is such a touchy part with baseball and football. Football, if you're a quarterback, really, but it's such a integral part that can be injured so easily, and it is like you have to. Yes, John, Big Ben, as we say nowadays.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion. With everything that's been said by Jay Glazer and reports around Pittsburgh, I just don't see how he comes back and is like he used to be. I don't see.
Well, the good thing is we'll know.
We'll know early.
It's not like last year, right? Where we had no, I'm sorry, they played him later on last year as well. It was
thank
he was already
God.
hurt by then. Yeah. So you'll know. I mean, I guess if it's taken a toll, we're 6 weeks in at this point. So I guess it's at some point, by week 4, 5, 6, you'd probably know if it's some kind of a nagging thing that he's, the surgery didn't take, or it just isn't healing like he thought it would, or can't handle the rigors of an actual NFL season. So. But yeah, I think, okay. I think I was just thinking about this when you were talking, and, thinking as a Browns fan, right? So this moment every single year, right? For the past decade, let's say, the schedule comes out, you look at the, upcoming schedule, and regardless of what we have been the year before, there's all kinds of optimism. There's all kinds of hope. There's all kinds of, we're going to, we got a better defense. We got a better offense. We're going to be good, blah, blah, blah. They're going to win X amount of games. And every year we've been wrong, basically, right? With all that optimism. I mean, they've just, there's been a couple of highlight seasons, but, outside of 2007 and, 02 was the playoff season. But yeah, I mean, there's, it's been so, anyways, it hasn't been great, obviously. But I think the one difference between a lot of what we've seen in the past and this upcoming season is that for the first time ever, really, since the Browns became the Browns again in 1999, I think that fans have a realistic, we can look at the offense that Kevin Stefanski is going to run, and I think that we can have a realistic expectation of improvement on the offensive side of the ball. Okay. So, that I don't think that's forecasting too much or expecting too much or anything. I think looking at this team saying Stefanski ran a very successful offense with Minnesota last year, and by and large, um, you know, you have the chance for the offensive line to be better this year with Conklin and obviously Wills now. Um, you have, I mean, Baker was a better prospect, obviously, than Kirk Cousins. Cousins has played, decently well to good in the NFL, but, but you have a chance with Baker to have a better quarterback. Thielen and Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs are, not the most, well, Diggs is super talented, obviously, but Thielen is a guy that came out of nowhere. And not more talented than Beckham, but like Jarvis is somebody that does probably, more than you would expect from, an athlete of that caliber. Like Jarvis plays better than he probably like ever should have, I think. And that seems like it's work ethic and practice and stuff like that. Like, he's been very impressive in his NFL career, despite not being the fastest guy or whatever. So, but yeah, so just up and down the board. I mean, if you looked at Minnesota, and they were a good offense last year, very good, top 8, offense, and the Browns, you have better players than they do, almost at every position up and down the board, and so Austin Hooper at tight end, we can go on and on. The point is that I think that, and again, you haven't had much of, you might not have much of an offseason, so that could hurt things, but the nice thing is that they did run a lot of wide zone last year. So it's something that at least they're familiar with. You do have Bill Callahan coaching the offensive line, which is super helpful. And this offense should make things easier. So I just think that it's realistic that we can look at this upcoming season as fans and say, I expect the offense to be better. Okay. Now, if that's true, and I think that it is, and we'll obviously be able to go back and think back to this moment and say, were we right in assuming this, or were we wrong? And I think we're going to be right. But if we are right, and if the offense is better, then I think the one thing that you can say about this team and this schedule coming up is that for the first time, we at least have the ability to stay in some games, right? Like last year, if they didn't, if their defense played well, like the Rams game, for instance, right? You were at home on Sunday Night Football. You played extremely well on the defensive side of the ball, and you just couldn't do anything on the offensive side, right? Nothing. I mean, they just couldn't, third downs and fourth downs and everything else that they couldn't convert. And so if you had any kind of offense, you win that game, right? Any kind. And so I think that's going to be the major difference, is that this year you can at least look at this team and say, they're not going to be totally reliant upon their defense, which is great, because if this defense improves a little, then fantastic, right? You might have a shot to really win 10, 11, 12 games, something like that, right? Something where you go way above and beyond expectations. But if your defense is just mediocre or average, or it takes everybody a little while, the linebackers, the D-line, everybody new, Delpit, just takes them a little while to get acclimated, then I think you can at least rely on an offense that might be able to win you a couple games. And that's the difference. Like in the NFL, you can't go, hey, defense, go win us a game. Like, it's so hard to do that. But you can take a mediocre defense and a slightly above average offense and win some NFL games just because of that. So I think if we're going to have any reason for optimism, and I'm sorry that this is a 27-minute speech, I apologize. But I think that's the reason for it, and that's the part that I'm excited for. And so, a game like this at Pittsburgh, right? Like, this could be a game where maybe Ben's elbow's fine and they're playing really well and they're okay on defense or whatever, but things are really clicking on offense. This might be another game like Baltimore or like Indy where you're like, look, we can win a shootout, right? We can get into a game and score 30 points and maybe beat a team 33-30 or something like that. Whereas last year, there's no chance, right? No way in hell that's happening. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. It's a tough game, obviously, but I think there's reason for hope, and that's why.
There's absolutely no team that the Browns would play this year outside of the Chiefs, which they don't play them, that you'd say there's absolutely no way they can beat them in a shootout. The Browns have a very talented offense on paper, and then I'm including the scheme that they're going to be running, the coaching. Everything is lining up for them to have a good year. And, this isn't the team of old, because nobody on this team right now was here during the and whatever days except for Joel Bitonio. And I don't care if we were still winning 0 games. He'd be one of our best players on the team because he is right now. But so after week 6, week 7 they play the Bengals, and we're gonna actually skip that one because we're running long. But the Bengals, week 7 at Cincinnati. Joe Burrow's still going to be finding his footing in the NFL. 7 weeks isn't nearly enough, especially with the times we're in now. And then they played the Raiders, the Vegas Raiders, week 8. I'm trying to figure out who the Raiders play week 7. Give me 1 second.
So they're at home against Tampa Bay on Sunday Night Football. So they got the Bucs at home. So
like
again,
that.
A late game, and then they have to travel to the Eastern time zone to play a 1:00 game the following week. So that's definitely helpful.
Yeah, and with the Raiders, they are a far way off in that defensive backfield for being able to cover. And you also have to think, in the NFL, there are certain weeks where these players give everything. The Browns are going into week 1 playing the Ravens, but if they were playing the Redskins, they would leave a little more in the tank. Like, everyone does it in every walk of life. If you work at McDonald's, you might not flip that patty exactly when it needs to be flipped. If you're working at a fancy restaurant, you're working at some 5-star restaurant and
Ruth's Chris or something like that, Hyde Park.
Yeah, you're not gonna miss flipping your burger. The Raiders are gonna have to play the Buccaneers, who have the potential to be one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. If Brady's still got a cannon on that right shoulder, then they'll be fine. They have one of the best receiving duos. Gronk aside, just talent. They have O.J. Howard at tight end. That's enough for me to get on board with that tight end group. I don't know what the hell Arians is doing. He's never been able to use a tight end ever. But this offense, that Buccaneers offense, is going to be good. I'm not going to let what happened to the Browns last year sway my opinion. I think that Buccaneers offense is going to just fit right in. Brady's game is all about intellect. It's not about being able to fit throws into windows or whatever you might need. His is all about he just outsmarts everyone. So I don't think that's going to transfer going to a new offense. He's still going to be able to outsmart you and use his eyes to misguide you, whatever it may be. Where I'm getting with this is that this is who the Raiders are playing the week before the Browns. So if you think the Raiders aren't going to come out on Sunday Night Football, John Gruden's a rah-rah guy. We're going to go out there and they're going to get them so pumped up to win this Sunday Night Football game against the Buccaneers in Vegas.
Chucky face.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man.
With that bowl cut.
We got to beat Tom Brady.
He's got a bowl cut. The owner's got a bowl cut. The only one that looks decent in that front office is Mike Mayock. I don't know what the hell's going on, but they're going to give it everything. And you know what positions get hurt a lot when you go all out? Defensive backs. Whether it's groins happen all the time, but groins, hamstrings, feet injuries, getting tangled up, getting hit over the middle by a block. Like, there's so many things that could go wrong, and you see it every year as these defensive backs get hurt on freak plays. And this is all I'm saying is freak plays don't happen against the Browns of 2015 or the Bengals of 2018 or like these players don't give it their all every week. It's just a natural way of life. You don't give it all if you don't have to give it all. So this is just me thinking. You got to remember, me and John just saw this schedule also 30 minutes ago, like an hour ago now, like you did. So I'm just giving you scenarios that could happen. And I think a very real one is that the Raiders are beat up from Sunday Night Football against the Buccaneers. And then they have to travel to Cleveland, is set this year to, they're going to have flashy plays. They have Baker Mayfield, they have Nick Chubb, Odell, Jarvis, and Njoku. Like, these are flashy play guys. But when it comes down to it, they have a mauling offensive line. I mean, just some guys that finish you off, unlike other guys. Like, Jedrick Wills will just destroy you. Jack Conklin will destroy you. Wyatt Teller is just like this little bulldog. Not very good in the passing game, but he'll destroy you in the run blocking game. Then Nick Chubb's going to run you over. This is a team that's just going to beat the absolute crap out of you. I think this Vegas one is going to be fun. It's going to, week 8, we got the bye next week. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. I don't know. I know we're not doing predictions, but that first half of the schedule, I like it. Like, when I first looked at it, I was like, there's absolutely no way. This is insanely rough. But I mean, I, I guess I don't want to say like there's easy wins, but there's 3 games where you absolutely should win. Okay, so that leaves
Well,
4 games.
yeah.
That leaves 5 games up in the air.
Yep.
Even if you have a losing record out of those 5 games, you come out of the first half 4-4. That's manageable with the second half of the schedule. John McNabb says Browns have come a long way from the Hugh days. John, the Hugh days, when they beat the Chargers to win the last game of the year, I was in a Christmas Eve mass in the back row because we got there late. And my brother didn't go, so he was texting me my dad updates, and he said they won. And me and my dad started yelling in church. Yelling.
On a missed field goal.
Oh, my gosh.
Never forget that.
Anyway, sorry.
But, yeah, so the first half, you got 8 games, then a bye. So season split perfectly down the middle, right?
Which is nice.
At Baltimore, at Dallas, the Colts at home, at the Steelers. I think those are the 4 make or break, games. If you lose all 4 of those, then you basically have to win. You got to win Cincinnati, Washington, at Cincinnati, and the Raiders at home. So, though you kind of have to win those 4 games because you're probably the better team in those situations. And then it's the other ones. The Colts are at home, so it'd be nice to steal that game. At Dallas is tough. At Baltimore's tough. At Pittsburgh's tough. So, I think probably the best you could expect would be 6-2 out of that stretch. Maybe you lose to Baltimore and Dallas, but you beat Pittsburgh at home. Or maybe you beat Dallas and lose to Pittsburgh. But
and I don't think
the
that's
Colts
crazy.
game is really important. That's gotta, I think splitting those is what would be disastrous is if you lose to Baltimore and lose to Pittsburgh, even if you're 6-2, if both of the losses are against those 2 teams in your division, like granted, you'll have beaten Cincinnati twice, so that's helpful, but you're going to expect Baltimore and Pittsburgh to beat Cincinnati.
Yeah, but also the good thing is if they lost all 4 games against Baltimore and Pittsburgh, but then went 12-4 the rest of the year, they'd still get in the playoffs with the 7-team. 3 wild cards now, so that is
right.
Nice.
You're right. I mean, and you can, at this point, we take anything in Cleveland.
But you obviously you want to win the division.
So, but yeah, I'm just saying, like, imagine 6-2 where you lost to at Dallas and you lost to the Colts at home, but you beat Baltimore and you beat Pittsburgh. That 6-2 would be, you know what I mean? You'd feel like you were the best team in the NFL. Yeah. Like that would be amazing. No, 6-2 where you lost to Baltimore and Pittsburgh, that would be a very, very different 6-2. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it's I think that first half of the season, every analyst you see is going to have the Browns down as possibly a losing team, and that's fine. John and I included, analysts are wrong all the time. Like, it happens. And
good thing we don't.
I'll say this. I know there's a lot of people that hate PFF. I can't really understand why. I understand you don't agree with some of the grades, but if you're looking for ESPN or Fox to give you a realistic reason as to why your team's going to do what, stop. That's not. There's about one person on ESPN I respect and listen to, and that's Dan Orlovsky. He knows what he's talking.
Yeah, Mike Clay's good too. Mike Clay's good.
Yeah, but he's not on TV. He's not on TV, really.
No, that's true. That's a good point.
And I'm not saying obviously these people work their asses off. They're great at what they do, but I'm not looking at Colin Cowherd for football advice. He's wrong most of the time. But all right, so we're at the bye. We're gonna break this down. If you have questions, put them in the chat quickly. So basic, I'm going to try to explain this best I can. John, correct me if I don't say enough.
You got it.
Okay. So, as you guys may not know, actually, at Across the Board, we have a podcast network. It's growing slowly, but we are in the works to get a couple of new teams soon. Right now, we just have Across the Jaguars, Across the Cowboys, Across the Bills, Across the Cavaliers. We're adding Across the Browns. Shocker, it will be hosted by me. So,
that guy.
Across the Browns, I will be hosting that. I will have a schedule set, but I'm hoping to get at least 3 episodes out a week. During the season, during training camp, during things that are exciting, it might be more than that. There'll be shorter episodes. They won't be long like this. They'll be 30, 35-minute long episodes We'll have reoccurring guests. We'll have new guests. John will still come on. I'll do a couple by myself. We'll try to get a couple more players on. But the across the board podcast will likely still exist. John and I still have to work out the details. If it does exist, I'll say this. I know this for a fact. The stuff John and I do with the draft, the stuff John and I do with our best bets, our DFS, that will 100% still exist, at least on the YouTube channel. But that'll likely also go on the Across the Board podcast. Now, if you are listening to this podcast right now, and the reason we're doing this is because when we put out Browns-related content, you guys respond much more positively. We have much more you guys connect with the Browns more, and that's because I've built my following around the Browns, which I love that. I tried to go away from it, but I just can't. And if you're listening to this podcast right now, this will turn into Across the Browns coming up soon. So when you see a tweet from Across the Browns or you want to go listen to Across the Browns, it'll be this podcast. So if you're subscribed to it, it will automatically you'll stay subscribed. If you're not subscribed, you should go subscribe right now on iTunes, wherever, across the board. But yeah, that's my long-winded speech. I'm really excited. I have been wanting to do this for a while. I didn't know how we were going to do it with, the best bets and the DFS and all that. But
yeah.
Did I answer everything?
No.
You think?
Yeah, this is good. I mean, so yeah, basically this podcast is going to turn into Across the Browns. So if you're subscribed, you're just going to, all of a sudden one day you're going to see a different name for the podcast, but it's largely the same stuff, except it's going to obviously more, 100% Browns focused, which is good because half the time we end up talking about the Browns anyways. And, that's what Chandler's passion is. And you're good at it. So you might as well just, let's play to our strengths here. So, yeah, the across the board then podcast will create new. So we'll tweet that out, put it on Facebook, all that kind of stuff, so that everybody can follow us there. And that'll be where the generalized kind of NFL content is. And so yeah, I'm largely going to be kind of running that. So Chandler will still come on the podcast, the videos and stuff like that. I'll go on the Across the Browns one from time to time, but it won't. We'll just kind of divide, split it up so that we have, two different shows doing two different things, but still trying to, play to the audience and make sure that you guys are getting the sports content that you are hopefully looking for, that you want.
And we'll still. Chandler is hosting. Where do I unsubscribe? That's it.
Just stop paying your internet bill, Jeff. Don't even worry about it. Just stop paying for it.
And you'll see us on a podcast together the same amount. If he doesn't come on the Browns, if he doesn't come on Across the Browns that week, I'll probably hop on Across the Board. And John and I are hoping, especially now that we don't have a lot of primetime games, which I love, we'll be able to record Browns post-game shows for you right away, get them out so you guys can digest what happened. But I'm really excited. And while we're on it real quick, with the best bet stuff, because that was our best, that's what you guys wanted last year, best bets, DFS, that will 100% sure be on our YouTube page. We're going to try to make it so a lot of things are filtered through that YouTube page, because it's just, I find it, when I'm listening to someone, if I'm watching them, I enjoy it a lot more. I just stay more focused, stay more tuned in. But, yeah, I hope we answered all those questions. But,
cool.
Yeah. So thank you guys.
All right.
I'm really excited.
Yep. So look out for that. And let's talk about the second half.
Can we get across the Indians? Yes, Jeff. I'll say this.
Sure.
Our goal is to have across every professional sports team, every college team by the end of all this. That's what my goal is. No, you won't. She'll just complain about Kluber being traded or something the whole entire time.
That's fine.
She did. If you guys haven't,
some people want to hear that.
If you haven't seen Julia, scroll back in the episodes. It's probably around episode 25. Julia and I did an Indians podcast, and she did fantastic.
Awesome. awesome.
Yeah, that is our hope, Jeff. We want, that's what we want. We want a podcast network where people can go for every single team. And I'm excited to start hosting across the Browns. I was started as a Browns podcast. If you're still with me from when I started this podcast a year ago, I built the Twitter for my podcast a year ago today, which means I started my podcast this day, 2019. Wow. If you're still with me from
Congrats. Then, happy birthday.
I thank you so much. I don't know when Jeff started listening to me, but Hellhound, if you're listening, you know, he was one of my very first listeners. Like, you are the man. Thank you so much.
Cool dude.
But I hate that he posts beer all the time because it makes me crave a peanut butter and jelly beer. But all right, John, we're at an hour. We did good. Our Cowboys argument started at like 41 minutes, so we zoomed through that second part.
Okay, gotcha.
After the bye week, week 9, we're going into week 10 playing the Houston Texans. This is a game that I feel so indifferent about. Like, Deshaun Watson's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he doesn't have anything. Like, Brandon Cooks, very good receiver. And I honestly can't tell you why he's been passed around the league like a baseball, but he has been passed around the league like a baseball. Like, Belichick's gave him up, Peyton's gave him up, and McVay's gave him up. I don't know. When I watch Brandon Cooks play, all I think is that's a great receiver who gets decapitated once a week. But the 3 of the best coaches in the NFL all gave up on him. Not gave up on him, traded him. So that it does make me think. But this is a team that's pretty depleted on the defensive end of the ball. J.J. Watt hasn't been able to stay healthy. They lost their nose tackle to the Bengals. They haven't added anything of value to that secondary, which was terrible last year. And they're relying on David Johnson and Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson. I don't know.
Randall Cobb.
I think that the Browns, this is one of those games where the Texans will somehow still be favored, I think, by the general public. But I do not think they have the coaching edge. I don't think they have the overall offensive edge. And I don't think at this point they don't have the defensive edge on paper. Now, we don't know if that Browns defense is going to mesh. They have a lot of pieces just taped together. But there are a lot of veteran players, so that is nice. But I don't know. This could all change week 1. Week 3, if the Browns defense isn't clicking, you're not going to get your defense clicking all of a sudden. Like that's either going to work or it's not. But this Texans team, I don't know, man. Bill O'Brien's a bad coach. Deshaun Watson's going to get hit 100 times this year. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to evaluate the Texans. It's hard to know what to
expect from them. Yeah, it's hard to know. This is tough. I mean, this is week 10, so this is largely. I mean, we're speculating now, but yeah, exactly. So by then we'll know. I mean, it's hard to know. And O'Brien is definitely a terrible GM, but surprisingly, he seems to be a decent. I mean, they do make the playoffs every year, and they don't really have much to work with. And they've dealt with a lot of injuries in the past, so they've won that division a bunch of times. But regardless, this is a tough one to speculate on. Obviously, you like the fact that it's at home. I mean, that's a huge thing. So, that if it's a bit of a coin flip in talent wise, or at least these are 2 teams that we expect to be maybe 8-9 win teams ish, then the fact that it's at home, should tip the scales a little bit. So that's good. And then week 11, home against Philadelphia. So you've got 3 home games in a row here with the bye in between. So November 1st, home against the Raiders, then the bye, then November 15th, home against the Texans, November 22nd, home against Philadelphia. So you're going to go from October 25th is your road game against Cincinnati, and then you don't have another road game until November 29th. So that's 33 days at home. That's incredible. So that's a huge, huge advantage. So if you can get through the first half of the season, let's say you end up 6-2 or 5-3, or even 4-4, where somehow you beat Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and those are 2 of your 4 wins, or something where there's at least optimism, then you come out of that bye with a home game against Houston and a home game against Philly. Now, Philly's tough, obviously. And I think it's, probably them or Dallas we expect to win the East this year, basically every year. And Philly won last year simply because Dallas refused to win that division. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely a tough game, but you're glad to have it. You're glad to have it at home. That's for sure. So that part I'm excited about. I don't think they'll be favored in this game. I think that if they're going to win it, they're going to have to basically play. This is going to have to be perfect football. You're not going to make a ton of mistakes against this Philly team and win. But you've got a shot, that's for sure. And this one's going to feel really good too because, I think the Carson Wentz thing is always going to hang over your head until you kind of erase that demon, right? Till you go to the playoffs and win a game or two in the playoffs or win the division or something. Do something where you're like, we don't have to focus on this mistake in the past. In fact, it's ironic that back-to-back weeks it's Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz, two of the quarterbacks that people were pissed that we didn't end up with in back-to-back years. But anyways, what do you think about Philly?
I think Philly is a fantastic team. However, I think they are relying on Carson Wentz, who I've been reading more and more posts about doctors and football and any sport with injury prone. And they say that term is not true. Like, if you're injury prone, quotation marks around that, they basically just say that, like, Carson Wentz just gets himself into situations, or his offensive line gets himself in a situation where it's just dumb luck. So I don't want to say an injury-prone quarterback, but a quarterback who's been injured quite a bit in his young career already, and he's just absolutely talented pocket passer, but a lot of what made Carson Wentz the MVP of the year that he got injured, so he didn't end up winning it, was his ability to move. I mean, he's not sneaky athletic. He's athletic. He's very athletic.
Or his ACL on that run. Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
And so I think they are relying on that, and their backup plan, I'm not comfortable if I'm Philly. And then, more importantly, you're relying on Jalen Reagor to come in and fix that wide receiver group that was. And I mean, they're Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey can win you games in the NFL. The problem is Jeffrey's a big receiver who's taken a lot of licks. He gets hurt. He, I believe, broke his ribs last year, which you're a receiver extending up to get a ball and getting hit in the ribs is not something you want to do again. So that's going to take a toll on them. There's just all this smoke about cutting Deshaun Jackson, which if the Eagles cut Deshaun Jackson, I want the Browns to call right now and say, we'll take a 1-year deal because
really,
I love Rashard Higgins, but if you can fit a burner in there at your 3 spot, and they won't take time. They won't take time from each other. They're two you could not be two different wide receivers in the NFL. But
no, when you ran 11 or 10 personnel, if you had Deshaun Jackson on the field too, dear God, that would be a lot of fun.
I think this is something that nobody really thinks about. But Odell Beckham Jr. is one of the best deep threats in the NFL. After last year, people were going to sleep on him, which I'm excited about. But so I think with Philly, absolutely great defense. Best offseason of fixing one side of the football I've ever seen. You go and get a top 5 cornerback in the NFL. You go and get a top 5 nickel corner in the NFL. And your biggest deficiency last year was coverage outside of your wide receivers being hurt, which what do? Have 8 receivers on your team that can all play? Like, that's just dumb luck. So with the Eagles, if Jalen Reagor's a real wild card for me, and I think if he plays well, that team flourishes. But if he can't play well, and you're relying on older, beat-up receivers, I think this team is held back a little bit. I mean, Carson Wentz is still going to be able to work his magic, but if Jalen Reagor can play to the athletic profile that he has, and these drops weren't his fault in college, and he's able to run clean routes, not just get beat college players deep, this is a whole different animal of a team. But Fletcher Cox on the interior, Darius Slay and Roby Coleman in defensive backfield, this is going to be no walk in the park, and I'd be surprised to see Fletcher if Fletcher Cox is not over Wyatt Teller every single snap of this game, which worries me. There's no way he lines up over Joel Bitonio because Joel Bitonio is one of the best guards in the NFL. there's a lot of teams like this, but the Browns really aggravate me because they have, one of the best guards in the NFL. They have one of the best centers. J.C. Tretter's dropped off a bit, but he's still a top 10 center, so one of the best. They have one of the best receivers in the NFL. He's definitely started to take drops back because, breaking your leg, aging. You start aging in the NFL, you drop off a lot.
He's only 27 though.
Yeah, but I mean,
Still,
after that broken leg disgusted the shit out of me. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
A top 7, 8, 9 running back in Nick Chubb. And then you have Myles Garrett, arguably the best edge rusher right now in the NFL, especially if you take in age into consideration. So they have all these players that are top of the league, but last year we just couldn't see any of it mesh. I think if we
haven't had a coach.
Yeah, I think if we can see Stefanski mesh
in forever.
And that's why I think what is important is Grant Delpit's not really like I just was looking at that 49ers defense. Grant Delpit's not like any of those 49ers defensive backs. But Joe Woods said, like Andrew, we have I'm sure Andrew Berry was not mad that they had to get Grant Delpit in the second round, but like Joe Woods wasn't like, oh, I don't want him. He's not like Jimmy Ward. He's not a cornerback at playing safety. Like, and don't like Grant Delpit's big like Richard Sherman, but that's like not comparable. Like Grant Delpit is not like the defensive backs that Joe Woods has had. He's not like it was in Seattle when he had Chancellor and Earl Thomas in the backfield. He's different than them, and I think that's important. That where I'm getting with this, I think it's important that they were able to not make the team change to them. Like a lot of coaches, a lot of front office will say, we don't want this player because he doesn't do what we like to do. This coaching staff so far has taken in players that say, hey, you're really good, so we're going to take you and we will mix. We will become the best of both of us. We'll do what you do best that we like, and we'll do what you do best that we never really did, and we'll try to get better like that. And that's something that Belichick does, Peyton does, McVay does. I know I keep saying McVay with these greats, but Andy Reid does. Like, these are some of the best coaches in the NFL, and that's what they do. They get the best players. They don't get the player that fits their system necessarily the best. Like, I think that's important with the coaching, but
that's the bottom line. It's coaching, man. If Stefanski's worth a damn and so is Joe Woods, then you're going to be able to be in games like this. Like the Eagles. You're going to start to have situations where teams are, oh, shit, we got to go to Cleveland in November to play the Browns. Like, that needs to be a scary thing. That needs to be something that, other teams look at where it's not an automatic bye week on your schedule because you go, good, we're going to Cleveland. Like, we have to, you got to win some games so that, these fans start thinking, yeah, I mean, of course, the season ticket holders are no problem. But, by the end of the season, the stadium's empty because who the hell wants to go watch them in 20-degree weather? So, but yeah, I mean, if it's what's it called? If you're a successful team and at least you look good, even if you're not necessarily winning, but at least it looks good, where you're like, okay, look, they're close. They're going to start winning some games soon. Yeah, I mean, it could happen for sure. So, absolutely. I mean, it comes down to coaching. If these guys are worth a damn, then you got a chance to win these 2 home games. And I'll tell you what. You better at least split these two because after this is probably the beginning of the schedule. You got some tough games, and then just the position you're put in after this is going to be tough. So you got 6 games to end the season here. So week 12, you're at Jacksonville. Week 13 at Tennessee. Week 14, you've got the Ravens at home on Monday Night Football. So there's your Super Bowl, basically. Week 15 at the Giants. Week 16, go right back to the same place at the Jets. Maybe you can get like a breakfast in bed or sleep overnight. Maybe you get like a punch card or something. You just stay in the Meadowlands.
And my buddy just asked me if I wanted to stay in New York over Christmas break. Yeah.
Yeah, just stay. Yeah, go get there on the 19th or 20th and go to the
Julia, that
Giants
can be my
game.
graduation present with your Airbnb points. Staying in New York, we play in New York.
2 games in a
row.
2
games in a week.
So it's the 20th, and it could be the Saturday game because they have it open right now where it's either the Jets are December 26th or 27th. So it could be either game where they flex it to a Saturday spot. So that one hasn't been decided yet.
Jets
But
prime
then
time,
you
baby.
wrap up at home against Pittsburgh. So you've got 4 out of your 6 final games are on the road. Granted, they're at Jacksonville, at Tennessee, at the Giants, at the Jets. So those are winnable games. I mean, we'll see what Tennessee is. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year, just because I don't think Ryan Tannehill is the answer. And I certainly don't think giving Ryan Tannehill $60 million is the answer. But
What?
I guess we'll see. But, yeah. So interesting. And then your 2 home games are the Ravens and the Steelers. So, this is that's an interesting finish to the season. That's for sure. I mean, I couldn't be more excited for Baltimore at home on Monday Night Football. Are you kidding me? That's going to be unbelievable.
Make or break,
I'm going
baby.
to email my boss now and take the 15th of December off right now. Just be like, I need a vacation day. Put it on the
You know
calendar.
what? That December 6th game against the Titans, that's on a Saturday. Because
is it really?
the Monday night's 8 days later.
No, it's a Sunday because 8 days later is on a Monday.
Oh, yeah. Good Lord. That's good math.
December 6th.
My phone shut down when I was trying to do that math, and I'm like, now I'm just freaking out. Sorry, you can't see me now, John. But
no, I know. My phone hates your math, and so it was like, we're done here.
Yeah, my phone just shut off, so I started reading that, and then I was trying to... 8 days? That's a week and a half!
Looking like a submarine. What's going on?
Yeah, I think that they have a realistic chance to start that second half of the season 3-0. I really think they do. I think the Texans and the Eagles are no cakewalk. But like you said, this needs to be a team that, with the talent they have, the coaching staff they've assembled, that it's like we're playing the Texans, who are a 500 team probably this year. We're playing the Eagles, who are probably a 9-7 team this year. Those should be games where they're coming to Cleveland, and so we're like, okay, this is winnable. Not, oh my God, we have to play one of those quarterbacks. Like, that's not the.
So I wanted to look this up too. So go ahead, but the win totals on for the season, according to Vegas. So Houston is at 7.5 for the season, and Philadelphia 9.5. So you expect Philly to win 10 games, which makes sense. I mean, there's no one in that division except for Dallas, them and Dallas, and then, but Houston being a 9-win team, 8-win team, that does make a lot of sense. So there you go. That's a good point. Go ahead.
Yeah, with the Eagles, that surprises me because the Eagles have the Rams they have to play, the 49ers, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Browns, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Cardinals. They've got a tough schedule. The Saints. The Eagles have a terrible schedule. That 10 wins, man, I'd take the under. But what are the Browns' win totals?
So that's it. And I've got 2 stats that we can kind of we could still hit on some of the games if you want to, but these are very intriguing. So Vegas has our over under the win total for the season at 8.5.
Wow. Okay, so they still believe.
Which is higher than, I would guess a lot of people.
Most analysts will have them at 7.
Thought. And coming off of last year as well, of course. Now, better than that, though, and this is, if you want to start getting excited about the season, if you weren't already, which who wasn't already?
I'm not. Who are the Browns?
So I pulled this from, you know what? You have some studying to do before your podcast, my friend. You need to learn a lot about these brownies here.
Is this about Paul Brown?
Yes, that's it.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
I'll study the family.
Yes. And it's just guys named Paul Brown.
What if I came on to the First Across the Browns and just started talking about Paul Brown? That's it.
In your
across the family tree.
In 1907, Paul Brown lived in Wyoming.
Gosh. I wonder if people would like that when there's nothing to do in the off season. Just give like a story time of the Browns, like crazy stories. I bet people would buy that. I bet people would listen to that. Anyway, sorry.
Absolutely.
If I wasn't already excited about the season.
Yeah. So I pulled this from Sharp Football Analysis from Warren Sharp's site.
He's pretty smart.
So, and this is really uplifting. So this is the 2020 NFL strength of schedule, based on how Vegas has the forecasted win totals. Okay. So in other words, he's got the teams ranked 1 through 32, the easiest schedule to the hardest schedule, based on Vegas and how they have their the win totals for all the teams on your schedule. Okay, so the Colts are number one by a lot. The easiest have the easiest schedule based on who they're playing versus who everyone else is
Of
playing.
course they do.
Tennessee is second, and the Browns are
How
third
Tennessee get second?
because they have one of the easier schedules as well. So,
I know, but I'm saying
and
that
yeah,
with getting to just the luck of getting to where they got and then being second.
and also true. This is also based on it's like I said, the basis is how Vegas has the win totals forecasted. So like if you look through the Browns schedule, well they have Cincinnati twice, and Cincinnati's at like 4.5 or 5 wins for the year. So that's a positive rating. Obviously, Houston's at 7.5, or what do we say, 8.5. So things like that. I'll look up the Raiders in a second. There's some other teams that are going to be lower, but yeah, the Browns are third, so the third easiest based off of that. Which
Oh, really?
that is, yeah, fantastic. The third easiest, yeah. So this is really good news.
Vegas, outside of last year with the Browns, for those of you listening, they're right way more than they are wrong. Except for the Browns, they just kept giving yep, the Browns are going to win this week. Browns are going to win this week. The Browns didn't win that week.
What was crazy is that, this is all the sharp bettors last year would love to take the points with the Browns because they they'd be getting 8.5 at home, and you're like, this is a slam dunk. You would take this, you'd take that blind every single week, right? You don't even have to know who the teams are. You just said, give me the home team getting 8.5, and I'll take them. And then the Browns would lose by 9, and it was just you got to be kidding me! It was just so close, but. So Tennessee, Washington has an over. Washington's win total is 5.5. Tennessee's at 8.5. We said Philadelphia is 9.5. The Steelers are at 9 flat. The Jets are at 7. The Giants are at 6.5. So Jacksonville's at 5 flat. So Vegas is 7.5. So you've got a lot of winnable games here. The Colts where are the Colts at? 9 even. Baltimore's at 11.5, and they have the fourth easiest schedule. So based on that, but that's a lot. I don't know if I've ever seen one that. No, I probably have, but it's rare. That's for sure.
What's Baltimore's?
11.5.
Woo!
And they're juiced the same. It's -115 either way. So you got to bet $1.15 to win $1. So, but anyways, yeah, so I mean, based off that, just looking at the Browns' schedule and then looking at the win totals for those teams in Vegas, I mean, it's not overwhelmingly high, that's for sure. There are definitely a few games that you can point to, the Week 17 against Pittsburgh, the Baltimore Monday night, the opener against Baltimore on the road, the Colts at Dallas, Houston and Philadelphia at home back to back. Maybe the Raiders at home if they end up being better than we think they are. The Colts for sure. I think I already said them. But yeah, so interesting, that's for sure. I mean, if it looks that good to Warren Sharp, and if Vegas thinks they're what did I say, 8.5? Yeah, 8.5. So I mean, I think that if you're thinking around 8-9 wins, that should be sort of like the average, right? That's where they should maybe hover with an average kind of season. And then, anything, 7 is, start to get disappointed, and 10 and up is okay. We're in business. This is, 10 means you won some games that you were supposed to win, or you just took care of business at home, which is another thing. Like we said before, that's something that they just have never done. And that has to start happening. You have to just, the easiest thing to do is just, home field matters in the NFL. So winning home games should be a thing that, you should do year in and year out regardless. And they just haven't done that. So we'll see. But it's definitely cause for excitement. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think, strength of schedule is something that the Browns had terrible luck with last year. And
yeah, it was really hard.
Also, teams groups like PFF and Sharp Analytics, these teams weren't sold on the Browns. They were they knew that the Browns like regime and roster were different than normal, but they still like this is a long way to go. And I think them having the Browns at the same, I think, win total as the Steelers is huge.
They're just under the Steelers. Steelers are at 9, and we're at 8.5.
Okay, but
basically the same. Yeah, it's right there. So
I think that's a big step for Browns fans, and I mean I'm pumped.
Yeah. No, it looks good. That's for sure. You just, like I said, this will be fun because, if we, like we said, if not to spend a ton of time on this again, but if we have a reasonable expectation that the offense is going to get better, and we just don't know what to expect from the defense, but we think at least on paper they improve. So if they can put that to good use and they can actually get any kind of an offseason where, they get some practice time and they put some things in and they're comfortable with who they have on the field, and depth isn't an issue, injury, stuff like that, of course, then, I think I would be thrilled. I think if you could just if you pose this question to all Browns fans, I would bet that everybody would say the same thing. Okay. If you said right now that this 2020 season for the Browns is you're just going to win the majority of your home games and you're going to beat the teams that you should beat, I would take that, easily without even thinking about it. I don't care. That even just that would be such an improvement over anything that we've seen, right? If they just took care of business at home and you win the games you should win, right? Where you go to the Jets and you just win that game because you're just a better team than the Jets, right? Mm-hmm. You beat Cincinnati at home on a short week because you're just a better team than the Bengals. Stuff like that. If that happens this year, then I'm fine with that. I can live with almost any result because we don't have to worry about if you lose at Baltimore, fine. That's a hard game. If Philly comes in here and wins and they're a good team and they win 10, 12 games, fine. I'm fine with losing to teams that, when they're better than you are, that's fine. But we have been losing to teams worse than us. Mm-hmm. And that's been the issue. So that would be a nice thing. Mom asked New England. So their win total for the year is 9.
They play
that's schedule. High. And where are they in the Sharp Football?
They've got the 49ers, they got the Bills, they got the Rams,
So they're the 24th easiest, or the, what is that, 8th hardest? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th hardest, according to Warren Sharp, based on the, Vegas win totals. So, yep. Tough one, for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well,
what else? Anything else about the schedule?
I don't have anything else about the schedule. I guess I just want to thank everyone again because I don't remember the date I released the first podcast, but it's got to be about a year exactly from today because it was my anniversary. So
today's your anniversary.
If you're listening and you were here then, wow, thank you so much. I mean, John was kind of there. That's John DM'd me and Across the Board started, and we're definitely not close to what we want to be, but we're making steps.
Yep, we're making progress, and that's because of everybody listening and watching. So thank you very much, because without you guys, we just would be, like I said, talking to ourselves in our bedrooms, which that's gonna make us crazy. That's going to happen. But nice that you're here and listening. So thank you, appreciate
John
it.
McNabb, Stidham, 9 wins. Skeptical.
That's a lot.
Yeah, me too.
That's a lot.
If I see one more person say, but they believe in Stidham. I don't care if they believed in Ghost. Just because you believe in it doesn't make it real. And to be fair, I do believe in Ghost, but Stidham just...
They're at 9 with juice to the under. That's minus 130 on the under. So you got to bet $1.30 to win $1 on that. So that's they're probably taking a lot of under bets. I wouldn't expect that to either be a flat, a minus 110, 8.5, or they'll go to minus 140 soon on the 9, and then just try to discourage people from betting that, because they're going to have too much liability on the underside of that. They'll need people to take the over, or New England to be good. Tampa Bay is at 9.5, which...
What's the juice for the over?
So that's minus 165, the juice. That's a lot. That's a lot. So you're basically, you got to, lay, yeah,
What's the juice for the
170 to
under?
100. Plus, it's plus 135 under 9.5. So that's a
10
really nice
games in
bet.
that division. Whew. I
So nine,
This got
yeah,
me
they
thinking.
win 9 games, you win the under.
Maybe we can do a show soon.
That's impressive.
The first podcast for the new across the board regime. We can do a best bets like over unders for the season, stuff
Season
like
win
that.
totals. Yep. With our with our sponsor Bovada for sure.
Yeah,
And
Bovada.lv.
also our what's called, if you're
I'll have
we
it.
do have a new sponsor as well.
Oh gosh,
You want
darn
to
it!
talk
I
about
should have
that,
plugged
Chandler?
it.
Yeah,
Go
do
ahead.
it now.
I'm gonna show them my screen.
Oh, cool. So it's the Hawaiian Coffee Company. So they are a new sponsor for the show and on the website. So if you go to acrosstheboard.net, right, nice, big logo. As soon as you get to the website, you can see the Hawaiian Coffee Company logo. You click shop now, and it'll take you to their site, and you get the what is the discount that they offer?
Right now it's $5 shipping flat anywhere,
Okay.
which is important because they're not shipping continental. They're from Hawaii. Also,
Right.
if you sign up with your coupon, you can get a 10% off. And if you are about to buy some and you reach out to us, I can even request discounts and stuff. So I just have them in an account. I can get them out. So do that. I already bought some. So if you go to flavored, because it's if when it gets to football season, you just want some flavored coffee. You want some warm coffee. They got everything. They got toasted coconut,
Caramel, chocolate,
macadamia,
coconut, hazelnut. Jesus, they got
and I'm
everything.
not saying that. And it's reasonably priced too. If you go get a, I believe this is an 8-ounce bag, whatever it is. You go get this, maybe it's 12-ounce bag of coffee from the store. It's about $8. Julie and I, cheap college students, we usually just get the giant tin, but this coffee tastes better. And
Wow.
Joe Rogan, this is the coffee. He endorses this coffee all the time. That's how I heard about it. Then I reached out to them. But,
Hmm.
so
Yeah, I'm gonna try some. I'm gonna get the light medium roast. I'm a light roast guy, so I'm gonna try some of that and see how it goes. But yeah, so if you're a coffee drinker, check it out. Across the board sports.net, atbsports.net. It's right on there. Just click on the link and check out the our new sponsor, Hawaii Coffee Company. Very cool.
yeah, and then you can even go on here on the website that you guys are seeing right now and go to
Nice.
this online store and request things from here. All fun. But
Very cool.
yeah, I don't know. It's exciting. I'm glad that they reached out to us. I'm excited to start talking best bets with
Yep.
Bovada. Maybe
Can't wait.
if you know anybody, John, that's like really into um, the spreads and looking into betting like that, let me know. But maybe we even get Eric back in here or something. Get like maybe a 4-way call going, and that way we have more than just two voices going about these
Sure.
season totals or whatever. But
Yeah. Sounds like fun.
today was fun. We actually disagreed with something and argued about it, and it was fun. Like, not all sunshine and
Yeah.
rainbows.
I know. I got so much to teach you. You'll learn though. Don't worry about it. You'll learn. It's a mountain of things, but we'll
You
get
just
there
can't learn
slowly. We
until
got to
you
go
get
slow.
old, right?
Got to go slow. That's true. That's true. You are, yeah, you're basically an idiot until you get into your 30s, and then you still don't know
At
shit.
least I
So
know I'm an
you got a
idiot.
long ways to
At
go.
least I know
I
I'm
know
an idiot.
that's the important part. Knowing that you're stupid is important, though. So that's a good point.
Oh my
So
gosh. But yeah, so stay
awesome.
up to date. I don't know. Yeah, just stay up to date. There will be some information coming out, obviously, with how we'll do this best bets thing.
Yep.
We'll definitely be doing it on YouTube and Facebook.
But yeah,
Doing it.
across the Browns is coming. Across the board will be new. We'll get that out there. Try the Hawaii coffee. I think that's everything, man.
Yeah, and then when you come back to our best bet show, use that Bovada link. We need across the brown shirt. Make it happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So actually, the T-shirts that my person makes are, I think, they're $10 to make, And then I think shipping's $3 for a T-shirt, so $13. They're nice T-shirts. I had to ship one
Can't beat
to
that.
Hellhound though, and he does not live in the
Oh,
United States.
Yeah, he's in the UK. So
Yeah, it wasn't nearly as expensive as I thought, but that was neat.
well, that's good.
But
That's good.
yeah, I'm not gonna upsell people. If you want one, let me know. I think they'll be $13 for shipping. Maybe I'll even pay for the shipping. Get some shirts out there. But yeah, thank you all
Cool.
for listening. When we come back with the Best Bet Show and use that Bovada link, you'll get 50% added. Like if you deposit $10, they'll add in a free $5, and then it also helps us out and keep giving you guys free content and stuff. And yeah, I mean,
Yep.
I love Bovada. That's the only one I've ever used. I know there's MyBookie and stuff, but I love Bovada.
Bovada's good.
But yeah.
Absolutely.
You got anything else?
No, man, that's it. Just excited for the schedule. Excited for the season now. I can't wait. It's fun that they released it now, but now of course we got to wait so long. But
Sure. Time to start
obviously
playing
we
Madden.
got so much more important to worry about. So let's stay healthy, get rid of this virus, make sure we're all doing the right thing, so that we can actually have get back to work and get life back and get football back and everything that we want. So just everybody stay safe out there. Take care. And hopefully we'll be ready. We'll be sitting there waiting for the kickoff of the Browns at the Ravens week 1 before we know it. That's definitely the date to look forward to now for sure.
Yeah,
so
I'm definitely
can't
already
wait.
thinking about buying a Thursday night ticket to
Thanks, Jeff.
the Bengals. Yeah, thanks,
Hell,
Jeff.
yeah, really.
Thanks for joining.
Definitely.
I hope you got your mind off some
All right.
things. I hope you had a good time, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Appreciate
Alan,
it.
I forgot
Good
to
deal.
mention your comment. You watched my senior year tournament on 44 again. That was a fun tournament. It was a fun tournament. It was a fun game, fun team. If only I wouldn't have traveled at the start of the championship game, we might have won. But all things we can look back on and be mad about. But anyway, thank you all. Thanks for listening. Stay up to date for some information regarding all this podcast switcheroonies. But yeah, get your coffee and stay safe.
Cool. Take care, everybody.